Metal Arms, A Glitch in the System was a game released in 2004 and developed by Swingin' Ape Studios. It's a game I know most of you haven't played, and a video that I know won't get me a ton of views, but that's honestly okay with me. Doing a video on the cancelled sequel was honestly just a passion project for myself, as I actually really loved this game as a kid. I remember there being rumors that Swingin' Ape Studios was going to make a sequel for the game that I thought was one of the greatest games ever made. I mean, in hindsight, the game isn't really that amazing. I wouldn't call it a masterpiece, but I think it's pretty stellar nonetheless. The game has you playing as Glitch, a droid found in the middle of nowhere with a strange mark on his head, fighting for the droid rebellion on the planet Iron Star against other robots known as the Mills. The gameplay is somewhat similar to Ratchet & Clank, what with you playing as a character who has an arsenal of weapons at his disposal, as well as a ton of different platforming sections with dialogue to match the same kind of starky, witty humor. Metal Arms was, and still is, highly praised because it's not just a game that has a ton of weapons and a ton of baddies to mow down. I mean, yes, there's a ton of that, but the game was friggin' amazing and huge. It was an odyssey. At first, you're underground fighting Mills in a mine shaft, then you're at your home base fending them off, then you're in the wastelands in a military base, and then you're inside of a factory, and then you're underneath the planet inside a new city, and then there's a chapter where you fight as a gladiator, and then it goes to space. There's just so fucking much packed into this game. No two environments ever look the same. It's also a game with a surprising amount of lore. Again, the world this game takes place in is known as Iron Star, and it is fascinating. It's a planet made of scrap metal and debris from space junk found on the edge of the universe, created by mysterious robots known as the Morbots, who are rumored to live within the planet's core. You never see the Morbots in the game at all. There's not even concept art of them. They just exist as these entities that created everything on the planet, even the droids. Plus, there's the little things, like this. It's so good. I'm sorry, I'm more gushing about the game than I am talking about the sequel that was canceled, and frankly I'm doing so because there's not much info on the second game, but rather just plans that there was going to be a sequel. See, for those of you who have played Metal Arms, you know that there was a cliffhanger ending with the one main antagonist getting away and escaping the planet. You might wonder why they left it off like that when they never made a sequel, and actually it has to do with the fact that when they first showed the game early on, it got a lot of praise. Swingin' Ape Studios was a new company at the time, so they pretty much had everything to lose if Metal Arms wasn't successful. It didn't help that their publisher, Sierra, was basically threatening them with shutting down the studio if they didn't come up with something within the next 2 weeks or so, and so they did. Within 2 weeks, they made a demo. Well, it's more like a proof of concept movie that showed off the game's performance and the idea itself, and then 6 weeks after that, they made a demo, a playable one. Can you imagine that? They just made this game within just 8 weeks of planning. I mean, yes, there was some concepts before, but Jesus Christ, just coming out with this shit at crunch time is, oh my god, I can't even imagine. I mean, yeah, it wasn't the full game, but it's still a demo, like a playable one within 8 weeks. Like, that's fucking nuts. So after the high amounts of praise, not only received by Sierra, but also the public, Swingin' Ape felt confident that this game was going to be a big hit and their first real breakthrough into the industry. So while developing the game, they also started planning for a sequel, not one, but two, as a result of their then recent praise. And the game's story was designed and shaped in a way that made room for both of these sequels, making way for a new trilogy. The game was then released, and it met critical acclaim, yet the sales did not reflect on their praise. It was a commercial flop. This was in part of the failures of marketing, which there was none, save for maybe one forgettable commercial. Nowadays, nobody actually remembers the game, like, at all, save for the people who actually played it. It was clear that there was a lot of love put into this game, and reading through their plans for the sequels, you can tell they put a lot of thought into the story as well. There were also a ton of concept and designs that were made for Metal Arms 2, alongside new characters and droids, but unfortunately, well, if you watched my video on that cancelled StarCraft game, you'll know what happened. After developing Metal Arms, the team went ahead and immediately started on the sequel, but stopped as soon as they were contracted to work for Blizzard and Nihilistic Studios for StarCraft Ghost. Yet, that game was also cancelled. Swingin' Ape was then bought out entirely by Blizzard, and most of the staff that worked on Metal Arms now probably work for Blizzard as of today. So what happened with Metal Arms IP? Does it just die too? Well, actually no. The Metal Arms IP still belongs to Activision Blizzard to this day, so I guess if they ever wish to do so, Activision could totally release a new Metal Arms game, though realistically, that's just not likely. The original creator of the game even tried buying out the rights to the game, but Vivendi, the first copyright owners and the publishers of the game, just didn't want to budge. After Vivendi was then bought out by Activision, well, I honestly don't even know if Activision realizes that they're sitting on the game's copyrights right now. Yet there is some hope, but it's kind of grim. In 2014, Blizzard acquired the trademark to the game, and then later in September of the same year, they updated the trademark again, but this time to include mobile games.
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
Oh god. Still, the game is available on Xbox Live's Classic Store, so if you want to check out the game, you can totally do so for the low price of $10. Well, if you own an Xbox, otherwise it'd be, what, $360? There's actually a lot more to the story I didn't cover, so if you are curious, please check out the Destructoid article in the description below if you're interested, of course. Even though there's not going to be a sequel, I am very happy that I got to experience this game. It's fantastic, and it's one of those things I think I would have regretted if I never had in my childhood. Thanks a lot, Swingin' Ape Studios, and to all who created this game, every single one of you. You did a fantastic job, and it's a shame not many people got to play your game. Thanks so much. You made my childhood just a little bit cooler, and I appreciate that.